How to use momentum to make money in the market? Momentum is the basic tendency of the market where stocks with momentum continue to move in the direction of momentum for some period of time. And during this period, they offer you a multiple opportunities to make money by using setup ideas developed around momentum. In order to do this, you need to understand various ways of using momentum and also a concept in momentum, what is called as a relative and absolute momentum. Whenever we are using momentum, we can use momentum as a absolute momentum, or we can use momentum as a relative momentum. Relative momentum is when what you are doing is you are basically ranking stocks relative to each other in momentum terms. Good example of a relative momentum ranking popularized by Investor Business Daily founder William O'Neill is relative strength, which is the IBD has a relative strength. Now the relative strength is just ranking stocks relative to each other's momentum. But if you want to make money from the momentum, what you need to do is to focus on absolute momentum. That is stocks where there is a momentum, absolute amount of momentum. And then you can develop various strategies around that kind of an absolute momentum. What is an absolute momentum? Supposing, let's say you decide to look at every stock which has gone up 20% plus in a month. Right now, that is an absolute momentum. That means like either a stock will be up 20% or it will not be up 20% for a month, right? So it's an absolute momentum. Now, if you decide to focus on stocks which are up 20% and then look for a second leg of a move, that's an example of an absolute momentum which can be used. Now, most of the momentum based methodologies or the setups which traders used are based on absolute momentum. A second example of using an absolute momentum is a lot of traders buy stocks which are trading above their 50-day moving average. So again, this is an example of a momentum, absolute momentum, because either a stock will be above 50-day momentum or it will be below 50-day momentum. So using absolute momentum, you can create various ways to trade momentum. Let's look at some of the ways in which you can use momentum. One of the ways to use momentum is to find a stock which has just entered a momentum phase. So if a stock which was not in a momentum phase and just entered a momentum phase, if you find that kind of a stock, then it allows you to identify where the momentum has started and then buy points along the way. Now, one of the ways in which I use absolute momentum is by plotting momentum phases, absolute momentum phases. So here in this particular case, I'm using an absolute momentum called trend intensity, where I'm looking for a stock's momentum as defined by its 7 days price average being 5% above its 65 days average. So what this means is this particular stock has a momentum about 1.05. Now this particular kind of a start and end of momentum tells you where momentum started. So on this particular day, the momentum or absolute momentum for this stock was about 1.05. That means the 7-day price ratio or average price, 7-day price was 5% above 65-day average 65-day price. So which is one of the ways to do momentum, right? Now, if you can identify start of a momentum, then what you're looking for is trying to enter the stock on the first opportunity in the momentum and riding the trend. So if you're looking for like finding stock that has just entered momentum phase, you can create this kind of momentum phases. Similarly, if you see in this particular case, this stock entered a negative momentum phase and then offered you an opportunity to go on the short side. So you can always look at stocks like here. This is an example of another stock. This is where it entered a momentum phase, and then this is the second leg of this momentum which is happening. While here this stock entered a negative momentum phase and then offered multiple shorting opportunities during the momentum phase. So if you want to go long, you want to go long when the absolute momentum is positive, and you want to go short when the absolute momentum is negative. And the ability to identify start and end of a momentum phase allows you to enter a momentum move early as soon as it has been identified. This will not be possible to do in a relative momentum. So this is one of the ways in which you can use momentum, which is to identify stocks that have just entered a momentum phase. So once you identify a stock which has just entered a momentum phase, you want to wait for the first pullback or a first consolidation and then buy from that particular consolidation or a pullback. The second way in which you can use momentum is to find stock are extended after a long momentum phase which are likely to reverse, right? And basically, so you can look at stocks which have gone up a lot and they have had a momentum for a long period of time and they have made a big move, right? And basically, and then you will see always when stocks had an extended period of momentum, like when you see this TI 65, which is like the green area, go on for almost a year or so, you will see that the stock becomes vulnerable to a pullback or a reversal. And this is a very common tendency of the stocks, where a longer term momentum can mean revert, right? And basically, and you see that the stock went down around 43%, and then again another second momentum phase has started. Now this momentum phase is just 1, 2, 3, 4 months. But if you have a stock which has been in momentum phase for a longer period of time, then that is more likely to lead to a reversal. So how can you find stocks like this? Again, once you understand the concept of momentum, you can create various ways of identifying stocks which are extended on momentum. So what I have is I have a way of ranking stocks by this particular momentum thing on a longer term basis, right? So this is what I'm doing here is I'm looking for a stock where how many days in a row in 252 days this stock has had a momentum as calculated by TI 65. So when you rank stocks by this, what you will see is this particular stock, that's buyout, right? And but if you see, you have stocks which had a very high momentum, right? Or Palantir is ranked as number 2 by a momentum like this, longest momentum phase, right? And basically, and when you see stocks which have a very longer term momentum, then as the momentum keeps on going up, at some stage you run out of buyers and those stocks become vulnerable to reversal. So you can create various ways of finding momentum, longer term momentum, how long stocks have been a momentum, like this stock has been in momentum for 3 or 4 months, or visually also you can identify, and you will see that typically stocks don't tend to have momentum for a longer period of time. Most stocks will have generally 3 to 4 months momentum, and after 3 to 4 months they will have a correction. Some stocks, rare stocks, will have 6 months plus momentum. But as the move as the stock starts getting away from the start of the momentum, it becomes more and more vulnerable to a reversal. So traders who focus on finding stocks which for shorting, or traders who want to avoid buying stocks which are extended, they use this kind of a momentum to identify stocks which are extended in their momentum phase. While using momentum, it is always a good idea to buy young momentum or buy a momentum right at the start of the momentum, because then you can ride it for a longer time. As the momentum ages, the likelihood of the momentum getting reversal happening, sudden reversals happening, keeps on increasing. So this is second way in which you can use the momentum, right? Now, if you like ideas like this in trading, subscribe or press the like button and help out. Now the third way, and which is one of the most profitable way of using momentum, is finding stocks that are consolidating in a tight range, right? And basically example of that is like this is a stock which had a breakout today, and before this breakout, right, Goldman Sachs had a breakout today. It has been in the momentum phase and it was consolidating in a very narrow range, or like, and if you look at the last high, between last high and it's like in a range, it was just like in a within 5% of its last high, just going sideways, and today it has a breakout. So identifying stocks which are consolidating, which have an absolute momentum, is one of the foundation idea which is used by most traders. So what do traders do? Traders identify stocks with some sort of a momentum, absolute momentum, and this is where you need absolute momentum, and relative momentum may not help you. Like supposing you want to find all stocks which have a momentum of like where the condition that like they have momentum of 1.505 is true, right? And if I use that condition on stocks, then I find as of now around 1200 stocks are in a momentum phase. So what I can do is I can go through these stocks in the night and identify stocks which are having an orderly pullback, or which are like basically having a consolidation near their high. So Carvana is having an orderly pullback now, right? So I can create a watch list of stocks which are either having a orderly pullback or consolidating or having a minor pullback. And then tomorrow I can operate, or for the next 5 days or next 1 week, I can operate with this watch list of momentum stocks, because these stocks have something going for them, which is like they have a momentum, established momentum, and now they are in a consolidation phase or in a pullback phase. This is another very popular way to use momentum. Now, if you see this stock, it is in a momentum phase, and then just 5 days, 6 days, it has had a very compact consolidation. So these are the stocks which you put in a watch list, and next day morning, you watch these kind of stocks for breakouts. And if you have a watch list like this, and you can enter these kind of breakouts early, and this is the most used methodology by most traders, where they go through 1,000-1,500 stocks in the night, identifying stocks which are setting up and anticipating a breakout. And then tactically there are many ways in which you can enter. Some traders enter in the consolidation itself in the hope that it will break out to the upside. Some traders create orders slightly above this consolidation zone and keep nesting orders, and then their nesting order gets triggered. Some people use just price alerts to alert them to a level. Some people will use trend lines, and they'll draw a trend line and they'll identify a point by point slightly above the trend lines. And when you study this kind of continuation or consolidation kind of moves, you can classify them into various kinds of moves. Some can be just moves which are like basically pullbacks. Some can be longer term consolidation. Some will show patterns like cup with handle. Some will show high tide flag. Some will show the VCP pattern, which has been popularized by Mark Minervini. There are variations of these patterns, and then you can study those patterns and you can see they have different win rates associated with them. So this is another way in which you can use this particular momentum, which is that are consolidating or having orderly pullback. And these two ways are the most popular ways in which traders use this kind of a momentum, right? And or everyday night you can use momentum to find stocks, go through this list and look for stocks which are setting up, like, and which are started their, ideally you want to see something like which has just started this momentum phase and then is having a first pullback. Those are better options. So you can create a watch list and then prioritize that watch list. Like, so Roblox is now going sideways, right? And it's in a momentum phase. It had a recent catalyst also, and it is very tightly trading. Now this is a candidate for a possible breakout. Now this kind of a methodology you can use before the market opens, ahead of the and get ready for a possible move, so you're not caught by surprise and you're just in control of your trading. So this is another way of doing this. And once you find candidates like this, you can prioritize them using various ways. You can prioritize them by using float. Lower float stocks tend to make bigger moves. You can use high short interest to find stocks which are high short interest. You can prioritize them by liquidity. You can prioritize them by a fundamental factor. You can prioritize using fundamental factors like a growth rate or a profitability or margin, or you can look at like fundamentals like how many funds are owning it, is the fund ownership increasing in this particular stock, or you can look at which big well-known fund with a track record of doing well in the market for last 10 years is buying this particular stock, or which hedge fund is buying this stock. So that adds value to the stock selection after you first make your list of consolidation or a pullback candidate. Now, if you look at like there is another way in which this information is used, and this information allows you to find the strength of the market moves. In the strength of the market moves, what happens is the number of stocks which have momentum tells you how many stocks are participating in the moves, right? And how many stocks are participating in these moves. Currently, you have 1200 stocks which have a positive momentum, and I have created a negative momentum list also. And if I create a negative momentum list and I see that there are 757 stocks, so you can see that like basically what is the participation of moves which are happening in the market. And this allows you to find out whether the market is attracting buying, more buying coming in, or more selling coming into the market. And this is used for timing the market or increasing or decreasing your exposure to the market. So there are various ways in which you can use momentum once you understand momentum, and make an effort to get deeper into understanding momentum. And once you understand momentum at a deeper level, what you can do is you can create more and more sophisticated setups based on momentum with the various levels of edges based on momentum or profitability. And I will show you some more examples of how to use momentum in the next series of videos. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button